So I was at Target last week, just picking up some basic stuff, and I ended up in line behind this guy who was arguing with the cashier. His card got declined. Not once, but twice. And I felt bad for him. We've all been there, or at least close to it. But here's the thing that stuck with me. While he's standing there, clearly stressed out, trying to figure out how to pay for like $67 worth of groceries, I noticed his shoes. These were brand new Jordans, easily $200, maybe more. Designer watch on his wrist, the latest iPhone in his hand. And I'm not judging him, I'm really not. But I couldn't stop thinking about it on the drive home. Because I see this pattern everywhere. People who look like they're doing great, but they can't cover the basics. And it made me realize we need to talk about something nobody really wants to admit. We're all trapped in this weird game where looking rich is somehow more important than actually having money. And it's destroying people financially. Okay, so let me hit you with some numbers that honestly made my jaw drop when I saw them. The Federal Reserve just put out their latest report, and credit card debt in America is now at $121 trillion. That's trillion with a T, and it grew by $45 billion just in the last few months. That's not people buying essentials, by the way. That's people buying stuff they can't afford. But here's what really gets me. The same Federal Reserve asked people if they could cover a $400 emergency expense with cash or savings. Just $400. Like a car repair, or your kid needs something for school, or your phone breaks. You know what percentage of people said yes? 63%, which means 37% of Americans, more than 1 in 3 people, would have to put that $400 on a credit card, or borrow from family, or just not handle it. Can't cover $400. But if you look at Instagram, everyone's doing amazing, right? Everyone's got the new this, the designer that, the fancy vacation. Everyone looks rich. Except they're not. They're broke. They're just really, really good at hiding it. And I think part of the problem is we've lost track of what money is actually supposed to do for us. Money isn't supposed to make you look successful. Money is supposed to give you options. It's supposed to mean you can handle emergencies without panicking. It's supposed to mean you can eventually stop working if you want to, or at least work less, or do work you actually care about. But somewhere along the way, we started using money as a costume. We dress up in expensive things so people will think we're doing well. And the crazier part? It works. People see the expensive car or the designer bag and they assume you've got it figured out. Meanwhile, the data tells a completely different story. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks how much people spend versus how much they earn. And when you break it down by income level, it's wild. People in the lowest income group, we're talking folks making around $25,000 a year or less, they're spending an average of about $35,000 a year. Let me say that again. They make $25,000 but spend $35,000. How is that even possible? Credit cards, loans, borrowing from family, going into debt. And a lot of that spending isn't on necessities. It's on stuff that signals status. Here's where it becomes a trap, and I mean a real trap. Not like a metaphor. An actual cycle that's really hard to escape. You look around and everyone seems like they're doing better than you. Your coworker gets a new car. Your friend from high school is posting vacation photos. Your neighbor just renovated their kitchen. And you start feeling like you're falling behind. So you buy something. Maybe it's a nicer car than you can really afford. Maybe it's clothes that cost too much. Maybe it's just eating out at places you can't afford, because that's where everyone else goes and you don't want to be the one who can't keep up. And in that moment, it feels good. It feels like you're back in the game, like you're successful too. But now you're paying interest on that thing. Credit card interest is averaging around 20% right now. Some people are paying even more. So that $2,000 purchase, if you're only making minimum payments, you're going to end up paying like $3,000 or more by the time it's done. And it's going to take you years, which means you now have less money to actually save or invest or build any real wealth. So you fall further behind, which makes you feel worse, which makes you more likely to buy something else to feel better. Round and round it goes. The Federal Reserve found that about 5% of credit card debt is seriously delinquent, meaning people haven't paid in over 90 days. When you're talking about $1.21 trillion in total debt, that's like $60 billion that people basically can't pay back. They're just stuck. You want to know what's really messed up about all this? The actual rich people aren't playing this game. They're not trying to look rich. They just are rich, and a lot of them don't even care about status symbols the way we think they do. There was this report from Bank of America Institute that looked at luxury spending patterns, and they found that the top 5% of earners, the people who actually have serious money, their luxury spending is growing, but they're buying it overseas where it's cheaper. Or they're buying investments and assets, not just stuff to show off. Meanwhile, luxury spending dropped for basically everyone else. Regular people are cutting back because they can't afford it anymore. But they're still trying to maintain the appearance of success with cheaper versions or by going into debt for the real thing. And here's the wealth breakdown that really puts it in perspective. The top 20% of earners in America hold about 71% of all the wealth. We're talking around $103 trillion. The middle 20%, they hold about 8% of the wealth, which is like 12 trillion. The bottom 60% of the country basically splits the remaining 21% of all wealth. So when you see someone flexing on social media, odds are really good they're not in that top 20%. They're probably in the same boat as you, just better at hiding it. Or worse, they're drowning in debt to maintain the illusion. And this is where I get actually kind of angry about the whole thing, because we're not just fighting our own insecurities or our own desire to keep up. We're fighting billion-dollar companies that have spent decades and millions of dollars figuring out exactly how to make us feel like we're not enough without their product. They know that if they can associate their brand with success, with status, with being attractive or powerful or respected, you'll buy it even if you can't afford it. They know that if they can make you feel like you're falling behind, you'll put it on credit just to feel like you belong. It's not an accident. It's not just good marketing. It's psychological manipulation at a massive scale. And most of us are losing. There's this thing called aspirational consumption, which is just a fancy way of saying people buy stuff they can't afford because they aspire to be the kind of person who can afford it. And companies have gotten so good at triggering that instinct. You see the ad, you see the lifestyle, you see the kind of person who uses that product, and you want to be that person. So you buy it. Even though rationally, you know you can't afford it. The emotional pull is stronger than the logic. Here's what kills me, though. Research on happiness and money is pretty clear at this point, and it doesn't say what the advertisements want you to believe. Experiences make people happier than things. Security makes people happier than status symbols. Freedom makes people happier than looking successful. Having money in the bank, knowing you can handle an emergency, knowing you're not one bad month away from disaster, that feels better than any designer bag or luxury car. It just does. But we've been trained to ignore that feeling. We've been trained to chase the external validation instead of the internal security. And the result is that people are stressed, anxious, in debt, and still trying to look like everything's fine. More than a quarter of Americans say they're either just getting by or finding it difficult to get by, according to the Federal Reserve survey. That's more than 1 in 4 people who are struggling, but you wouldn't know it from looking around, would you? So what do we actually do about this? Because I'm not trying to just complain. I'm trying to figure out how to break the cycle. First thing, and this is hard, we have to get honest with ourselves about what we're actually spending money on and why. Not what we tell ourselves we're spending it on, what we're really spending it on. That coffee you get every morning at the fancy place instead of making it at home, is that because the coffee is genuinely better? Or because you like how it looks when you walk into work with that cup? That brand name instead of the generic? Is the quality actually different, or do you just like the logo? I'm not saying never treat yourself. I'm saying be honest about when you're buying something for you versus when you're buying something for how it looks to other people. Second, we need to separate what we actually value from what we've been told to value. And this is harder than it sounds because the messaging is everywhere. Do you actually care about having a luxury car? Or do you just like the idea of people thinking you're successful? Do you actually need those designer clothes? Or do you just want to feel put together? Because you can feel put together without spending thousands of dollars. You can feel successful without the luxury car. Third, and honestly, this is the biggest one, we have to stop comparing our real lives to everyone else's highlight reel. Social media is a lie. It just is. It's a curated, filtered, carefully selected highlight reel of the best moments and the best angles and the best lighting. That person who looks like they have it all together, they might be drowning in credit card debt. They might be stressed out of their mind. They might be faking it just as hard as everyone else. The people who are actually building wealth, the ones who are actually financially secure, a lot of them are living pretty quietly. They're not posting about it constantly. They're not trying to prove anything to anyone. Look, I know this is hard. I know the pressure to keep up appearances is real, and it feels like if you stop trying, you'll get left behind. But here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Most people are already behind. Most people are struggling. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck and hoping nothing goes wrong. And the ones who look like they're winning? A lot of them are just deeper in debt. The system is not designed to help you build wealth. It's designed to keep you spending, keep you consuming, keep you chasing the next thing that'll make you look successful instead of actually being secure. But you can opt out. You can choose to be one of the people who actually build something real instead of just looking like you have. You can choose to be weird in a world where everyone else is pretending. And honestly, that's way more impressive than any status symbol you could buy. Look, I don't have all the answers here. I'm figuring this out same as everyone else. But the more I look at the data, the more I talk to people, the more I think about my own relationship with money, the clearer it becomes that we've been sold a lie. Looking rich is not the same as being secure. Status symbols are not the same as wealth. And impressing people you don't even know is not worth sacrificing your financial future. So maybe it's time we all just stop playing the game. Stop trying to keep up with people who are probably faking it anyway. Stop buying things we don't need with money. We don't have to impress people who don't actually care. Maybe it's time to be weird. To be the person who drives the paid-off older car, who shops at regular stores, who actually has savings instead of just looking like they do. Because at the end of the day, the only person who has to live with your financial decisions is you. And I'd rather be the person who sleeps well at night knowing I can handle whatever comes my way than the person who looks successful but is one emergency away from disaster. Anyway, that's been on my mind. If this helped you think about money differently, cool. If not, that's okay too. Oh, and subscribe if you want more real talk about money. See you in the next one.